softball question.
Yeah, so what we have to do is these are the trestles that are constructed out there. Trestles are constructed out there.
Now, are we thinking like
so, no, this is the structure, so all the little dots are assume underneath tight miles. And we're showing it completely across the river. It won't be that way. All the possible access points, crossings, everything. But it'll take them about 3 years to get this built, constructed. And once that bridge is constructed, they'll take traffic off of this road. This will maintain traffic during construction. Switch it on to the new bridge, and then they'll tear this one down. It takes about a year to do that. And there's a tie-in here. So you see that here, this last bit between this pier and the button, that beam will be missing. You can't tie it in there. So I know that miles on this bridge, this traffic will get necked down a little bit. The developers can still maintain the sidewalk, pedestrian access, and the field will still get commercial free. It'll just be one span that we're showing here. So that is going to tie right. Well, we have to actually tear the old foundation down and then reconstruct a new foundation. And then, like I said, that's what we're doing over here. So there's a fair amount of work. One contractor will be responsible for construction, first the new bridge, the traffic, and
the same contract?
So the bridge is advertised as and it takes about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks for the contractors to review the contract documents and run price. And that takes us 4 to 6 weeks to award a contract. So if we want to get a contract award, it's really in January. February or March.
Starting at late days.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, you're right. In November of this year, yes, you're right. 21. Summer 21.
So is this?
This is the riverbank. So the river kind of runs along this line here now. These are temporary field conditions in order to support the active flow. And the final condition, this gray represents the ground slopes. This is racing from this side. And then this is but yeah.
Essentially like
so this is the start area. So worst case scenario, how they want to access, they do that, they want to do all the work they can. But we have to get permit with all this stuff. So looking at all the possible entrances, we got 3 over the ceiling, the rail on the other line, inside this rail. doesn't come out at the end of when they take the different notes out.
Alright. So what kind of, I mean, this is going to have to be in the dry, right?
It'd be in the dry.
Built up.
You don't even build up the stone and wrap it up.
Take it back out.
This is the intent is to have a slope in here. You want to make an easy. The intent is to have the stable slope to have access to this. This really cuts up to 50% grade. Now, you might see it on done in both these locations. So, yeah, basically right here is the existing portion. There's right, so what I think what we're talking about now is just still being worked out. As long as the we should be able to access. What's the rate of access? Benefit of not necessarily the benefit of support yeah, the amount of effort to
Actual date of this process. Right now or finish it? Start.
so pretty cool start, so it'll probably be the fall of yeah.
You guys think it's a realistic schedule?
The only the variables that are tricky.
Pretty much everything.
They say that it's starting in February and March, right now, there's no design lane I was more interested in
Listen, I got a question right off. Because it said 90, up to 90.
Well, if it goes up to bid in November, the contract is going to
my understanding is that it's going to be one access. water first.
Okay, so you're Andy Lathe with Maine DOT. Okay, and tonight we're here to discuss the International Bridge Project. Tell me a little bit about where we've come from.
Sure. So several years ago, a feasibility study was done to look at multiple options. Bridge crossing, new equipment, dozens of different locations for crossing. Straight Canadian port of entry to a facility just north of the Twin Rivers site. That was going to be the ideal location, least impacts, and it kept the traffic within the downtowns of both Madawaska and Edmundston. So what we have here is a layout of the future bridge plan. The bridge is located and shown in blue. The bridge is going to be about 1,800 feet long. This area down here in orange is highlighting where the new GSA land port of entry facility is going to be on the U.S. side. The red indicates the Canadian port of entry, and down here we have the existing port of entry on the U.S. side, and yellow showing the existing Madawaska Bridge, which is turning 100 years old this year. It's a through truss bridge. They typically anticipate about 75 years out of a bridge, so we've gotten 100 years out of this one. It's in need of replacing. Also on this diagram, you can see there's a bridge owned by Twin Rivers. That's a utility bridge. There are some utilities of Twin Rivers that are going to be transferred to this bridge as part of the prior to this construction project.
Okay.
That's the general layout of the new location of the bridge crossing, the old location of the bridge crossing. What we anticipate is the contractor, whether they're a Canadian or American contractor, they're going to take about 3 years to construct the new bridge. And
why that long?
Well, it's a considerable amount of effort, and if we could go down here, I'll show you on this diagram. It's a considerable amount of effort to do the in-water work. What we have is this is the new bridge crossing. Here's the existing bridge. And if you look at this drawing, this darker gray represents a trestle system for the contractor to build a trestle over the water to be able to go out and do the in-water piers. There are 4 large piers. They're going to be 10-foot diameter piers that are in the water, and there's one land pier that's up near the rail line. Getting into the water and constructing those piers are going to take an immense amount of effort and time because they need to construct a trestle. The trestle can only stay out there as long as the spring freshet. Once the spring freshet comes, that trestle has to be removed or the river will take it out with it.
Now, for viewers who don't know what a trestle is, can you explain that?
It's a bridge. So the trestle essentially is the contractor's design. What typically would be some driven steel piles. Whether it's like a round pile casing or an H-beam that would be driven to the ground. And then they'll put either a wooden or steel structure over the tops of those piles just to give themselves access for cranes and equipment to get out, to be able to build this out in the water. So they can't just take their equipment and be out in the wet, out into the river itself. They need to be above it in order to do their work. So it'll be at least 2 construction seasons, 2 summers, where they will have to put a trestle in the water, remove it before the spring freshet, and then do it again the following season. So we anticipate that's going to take quite a bit of time. That's why the bridge is going to take upwards of 3 years to complete. It'll take a year to remove the existing Madawaska Bridge. Again, they have to construct trestles to get out to that. And there's also a bit of a tie-in here. If you can see the existing bridge and where it meets the port of entry in Edmundston, they kind of overlap a little bit. And so what we plan to do is, while this bridge is being constructed, traffic will be maintained on the existing Madawaska-Edmundston crossing. Once this bridge is complete, traffic will be moved over, and this bridge will be demolished, but there'll still need to be a tie-in. So we look back at this diagram here, if I could. It shows 4 girdle lines. In the instance of that last span in Edmundston, this last beam can't be put in place until this old bridge is gone and the abutments are completed. So there will be a bit of time in the 3rd season where it'll be necked down to a little bit of a tighter constraint on the Edmundston side. There'll still be pedestrian access and there'll still be an ability for trucks to get through. Just be a little bit narrower until the bridge is removed and the final span is completed in that 4th year. Now, the typical bridge section is going to be 2 12-foot lanes and 6-foot shoulders, which is a much wider shoulder than we would normally put on a bridge.
And why is that?
Normally we put about a 5-foot shoulder, but we recognize that there may be future interest in multi-use on the bridge, and we've provided 6 feet for a sidewalk, a raised sidewalk for pedestrian access.
Okay, so you left ample space in the event of a recreational possibility?
It's being designed as a wide shoulder now, not only for snow removal and snow collection, but there may be future opportunities if there's trails that are connected to the existing bridge. But it's not specifically being designed as a multi-use trail at this time. It's simply just additional access for drivers and commuter comfort.
All right.
Any other questions?
Well, what is the immediate next step? I know you were talking earlier about engineers.
Right. So we've currently completed our preliminary design work, and we've gotten to a milestone which we call Plan Impacts Complete. What that milestone means is that we know where all of the final impacts are going to be, where all the toes of slope, where all of the potential impacts to private and municipal properties will be. And once we've reached that milestone, that kind of starts a right-of-way process and an environmental permitting process. And that's the point where we're at now. We're just starting to enter final design. So we're anticipating by June of this year, we'll have about a 60% design set of what the final project will look like. And in and around October of this year, we'll be around a 99% design set in the intent of advertising in late November of 2020. And construction starting as early as February, March timeframe of 2021.
Okay, and you have construction teams in mind already?
There are 3 contractors that are pre-approved, that pre-qualified, I should say, that have been working with both NBDTI and Maine DOT sort of as a consultant basis. It's a contractor design process. So we solicit contractors to engage in that process. We had 3 that applied and are working with us. It helps the design team to identify potential conflicts or construction issues that may inflate costs or inflate risk for both the contractors and the DOTs. So right now there are 2 U.S. contractors and 1 Fredericton contractor from New Brunswick. And those will be the 3 that'll be allowed to bid on the project in the fall of this year.
Okay. Is there anything that someone has asked that you thought, oh, that's a different question, I hadn't been asked that before?
I think some of the ones that have come out to us are security issues, whether it's security fencing on the bridge itself. We didn't initially consider things like, could people drop stuff off the side of the bridge for pickup over the rail yards, or snow accumulation on the rail yards. Things of that nature that are more security-based that we don't find in a typical bridge because it's an international crossing.
Right. Now, back to security. I know why we're not discussing the land port of entry, but if you could just kind of tell our viewers and our readers why we're not talking about the land port of entry tonight.
GSA is only in their preliminary design for their port facility, and right now the Department of Transportation and NBDTI, the basis of knowledge that we have is really where the inspection lanes are. We don't know any more beyond that footprint. So what we've shown in our drawings here, it kind of shades out. We know that there are inspection stations here, and we have an idea of where they want vehicle flow to come from and travel to, but beyond that, we're not privy to their design at this stage.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for your time. All right, thank you.